is Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of the syndicated talk show, People of Distinction. A talk that gives you an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, alcoleenterprises.com, for more info. Email me through benji@alcoleenterprises.com if you'd like to get involved with what we have going. And as always, please continue to like and follow our broadcasts. People of Distinction is internationally syndicated solely due to the love and support that you all continue to give. We're available across all major distributors, and as long as you keep following, we're going to continue to put out the content. Now sit back and strap in, because on the line with us today, we have the impressive Gennet Tedla Yohannes. Now we're going to be discussing her incredible book, The Hut, A Taste of African Food, Culture, and Originality. It's Amazon, it's Barnes & Noble, man, it's a lot of other places. I'm telling you, type it into a search bar and sit back and be greeted with all of it. And before I go any further, I want to point out the fact that Gennet was brought to us by City of Books. So for writers out there listening in, if you need some assistance moving that book you just spent so much time creating, head on over to cityofbooks.com and gather all of the ways that their fantastic team is going to help you do just that. And people, listen, it is an absolute pleasure to have Gennet here on the line with us. What if a single recipe had the ability to transport you across continents and through generations? Follow me here, because that's what you have in store today. See, her book, The Hut, man, it doesn't just teach us how to cook. Now, it definitely does do that. There are some impressive recipes to be found, but Gennet shows us how to remember. She weaves a personal narrative with the vibrant native flavors of Africa. This is so much more than food, man. It is a journey into the heart of a culture where every simmering pot tells a story of history, of love, even resilience. This is going to be an incredible journey for us. And I've always been a fan of the power of a nice home-cooked meal. Yeah, it tastes good, all right? But it's going to educate. It has the power to unite. It has so many blessings that it can offer. And I'm thoroughly looking forward to this, man, because just in preparation for today's interview, as we were reading it, as we were formulating the layout for the interview, listen, myself, my team, it brought us down memory lane, man. And then we were having discussions of previous meals that we had with our family and the connection that we were having and what we were learning about each other. And it was a remarkably gratifying experience. Sit back and strap in, because that is exactly what's going to happen with you. Once you pick up this book, you're going to learn so much more about Africa, about Gennet and her background. But I challenge you not only to make the food, but to create new memories with you and the loved ones around you as well. Yeah, I promise you, you're going to be tasting some good food. Also, let's jump right in. Gennet, first and foremost, welcome to People of Distinction, and thank you very much for being here with us. How are you doing today?
Thank you very much for having me, and I'm excited today being with you for this interview.
Gennet, listen, we're happy to have you. Like I mentioned, this book is so much deeper than a cookbook, right? I mean, it is that at face value, but once you delve deeper, once you really embark upon the journey, I think that's where the power lies. So we are looking forward to it. First and foremost, Gennet, tell us more about your background.
My name is Gennet Tedla Yohannes. I was born in East Africa, Ethiopia, but originally, but I'm an Eritrean American. Now Eritrea has been independent since 1991, so I officially am an Eritrean. And before I start, I would like to say something about my journey, about this book. I was born, I said before, single mother. My father died when I was 3.5 years old. When I was growing up, we may not have monetary things because of my father's death, but I have a strong mother who supports us. And the way we were eating was, in Africa, hospitality is one of the most important things. You don't eat by yourself. We eat in a group.
Yeah.
Every discussion, every journey, but about school, about your culture, about everything what you learn is when we are sitting together in one table. It's not a table even. We are in a circle. Sometimes you see Africans are eating in their hand. Sometimes African is eating in a fork. That has nothing to do with civilization or uncivilized. It is the factor of their culture. Our culture is, at the end of the day, every family has to get together, and then our grandparents, elders, will tell us a tale of our country, where we come from, who we are. So when you ask an African, every African, whether it's poor or rich, we have a lot of high self-esteem. Nobody knows, but we have high self-esteem because as a child we were told that we are better than anybody if we work hard. So everything in food and in the recipe, everything is cooked with love. And this particular book is not a matter of cookbook only. It's the culture, the identity of Africa, where we come from, and how people are preserved us. How do people are looking at us? I have 3 sisters. We have 4 girls. My mother was very strong when we were grown up, and she was 25 when my father died, never got married. So she has an iron fist mother. We were raised. We follow her rules, and we are all highly educated, and we finished high school and college and everything. I traveled to the United States when I came. I was 22 years old. After I came to America, I went to continue my education. I have a diploma in Ethiopia, but I went in Bachelor of Science in Nursing. Continue with my master's. I have a public health master's and double major hospital administration. I was an owner of a business. I'm a business owner in the past for 23 years. Me and my friend were the first female. We opened a home health agency in San Antonio, Texas. And then beside that, I'm the first African who started like a ragu, a bottle African sauce, which was called Authentic African Kitchen. So throughout my business, throughout my life, as a nurse when we are working, whether they are having a master's or a doctor or nurse, first question they ask me is, first, I'm from Africa, the first question is, what do you all eat? And it just confused me. And then I said, what do you mean what we are eating? So at last I quit answering because I know people don't think that we Africans eat it. Because all the media, what it plays is our starvation. Africa is not civilized and everything. But Africa gives a lot. So this book will give you the idea of where we're coming from. Africa is the first cradle of civilization. In the first century, the second century, Africa exists. But we Africa let go. Then there is colonization and all in this thing. We give excuse and we don't do anything about it. Because of that factor, I gather every information I can have, and every state, every nation in the country of Africa, I got one recipe for everybody. My hope of the sea is that people will look at Africa, not a black continent, a bright, a beautiful continent.
Listen, Gennet, I have no doubt that they're going to do just that because, listen, like you've mentioned, it is so diverse. And your cookbook represents that variety. And girl, I'm there with you. And your background is remarkably impressive. Again, welcome to the show. I love it. My next question that I want to go into is something that you started to go into earlier in your previous answer. You're talking about when sitting down over a home-cooked meal, it's not something that is meant to be enjoyed solely by one person. It's the community. It is a gathering of those around. And because of that, love is explored. Memories are shared. Experiences are constructed. So I want to go into that now because I understand each recipe in your book is paired with a personal story. Was there one story that was maybe the most emotionally difficult to write, but you felt that it was essential to include to fully tell that recipe's tale?
Yes, sir. When you look at Africa, from North Africa to South Africa to East or West, every African, we have one culture in common. That food is not only to eat. While we are eating, our parents are teaching us how life is all about. Your grandparents, you have to respect your mother, your father, your aunt, your uncle, everybody raised you. You are not being raised by a mother only. You've been raised by every neighbor. So when we're sitting for lunch or supper, mostly it's a supper because in the daytime we all are going to school and coming back. But in the evening, we all gather by the fire, a little table, or whatever everybody can afford. The discussion is about the old history, the history of Africa, the history where we come from. Every child knows their background in Africa. Where did you come from? And then that, we ask a lot of questions. As a children, we'll ask, who is this? How did we come? So the communication is the most important food we are eating. That's what I missed. Now, when I came to America, we are all in a run. You buy a hamburger, you go this and that. But then we lose the common things that were our children will have in their brain as a child to grow up, to love the community, to love your country, to love humanity is in that particular table, that rich or poor. That food is not only important for us, maybe not enough for all of us to share, but we're sharing it. The most important is what we learn from our grandparents. What is my grandmother telling me what to do in the future? So most of us know where we're going. People in the other culture will see us, maybe we are not dressed up good or that, but every African child, as an immigrant, when they come to America, every one of them are craving education. You know why? Because that table was telling them, without education, you cannot do anything. Why is everybody jumping to come to America? It's a better place. Get that opportunity. And then why is all Africans, every time, everywhere, they want to keep and hold their culture together? Mm-hmm. That's the background we got during that table discussion. The love, the respect is the most important thing than the food I miss as grown up, what I got. And that's what I teach my children always. Remember, brother and sister, I have 3 kids. I always tell them, 1 girl and 2 boys, your best friend is your family. And then out of that, your neighbors and everything. So that is the example we use in Africa.
People, listen, man, I'm going to tell you again, it's Amazon, it's Barnes & Noble. You got to pick up copies. The book is entitled The Hut, A Taste of African Food, Culture, and Originality. And trust me when I tell you, you're going to learn about each and every one of those things when you embark upon this journey. It's going to bring your family, your loved ones together in such a beautiful way. Pick up your copies today. Gennet, my next question that I want to go into is, listen, continuing along the line of food bringing us together. I mentioned in my opening that I remember when my team and I were having our discussion in preparation for today's interview. It's impossible to not go down memory lane. That's what I love about your book is it allows you to get very deep without even trying to. And that's what's so beautiful about food. And my family is very similar to yours. So my family migrated from Cabo Verde. And Cabo Verde is a set of islands off the western coast of Africa, closest to Senegal. And community is very tight-knit, not only there in the island, but of course here in the States with the Cape Verdean community that we have around. And I remember food has a way of capturing memories, right? And when we were having our discussion in preparation for today's interview, it brought me back. I remember a big thing for us, whenever we would have any type of get-together, whether it was a birthday party or a wedding, whatever the case was, pastels was always on the menu, right? Pastel is very popular amongst the Cape Verdean community, and especially my family. Closest, my wife is Mexican, and their kind of interpretation of that is almost like empanadas, right? It's like a fried, almost dumpling in a sense, where it's packed with different things. You can put different meats and vegetables, whatever. We would always do tuna fish. It was a very big thing. And what was beautiful about it is not only would we enjoy the food itself, but to make it, whenever we were setting up and getting ready for an upcoming party, the kids and all the adults as well, everybody would have their own individual station, right? One person was in charge of watering the I would say rice paper, but it's not. It's whatever the covering of that dumpling was. So you have to water it so that it's able to stick when you fold it over. The next person would be in charge of putting the tuna fish in. The next person would be in charge of closing it. The other person would be in charge of using a fork and clamping it closed so it stayed tight. And then finally it would make it to my mother, who would then put it in the frying pan, cook it up, put it to the side. But it was beautiful because it turned into this big family event, like you're talking about and what your book represents. So similar to the previous question, I want to now follow along a similar line. Which recipe in the book is most intensely tied to a very specific memory for you? Is there one that's in the book that it's like this particular memory or this particular recipe, you have vivid memories of your family gathering together to cook it for an upcoming event?
Well, it is very hard to say that because as I said, I wrote all 50 states of African state I wrote. The food is not what, most of the time the food would be cooked by our parents. The parents are the one who's going to cook it. It's not the way it was cooked, because I can give you an example. In one rich man's house, they may eat something different than the poor man's house.
Yeah.
But one thing in common is that food, when we are eating it, it's not only the food, how much was served, who served it. Once you sit for the table, we are eating, at the same time, the whole discussion, it comes on that particular how to act, how to behave, what is normal, what is abnormal. Everything is discussed during a table time. So for me, every food, if you ask me what my mother cooked, there's nothing I don't like. Every food I eat is good.
Right.
So it's a very biased thing. And then when I'm writing the food, the old African food, when I was writing it, I was so amazed. Most of them are close to each other. You ask me, why did I choose what? The first book when I was writing, it was only about recipes.
Mm-hmm.
Then 2006, I started it. When my mother died 2008, I stopped. 2018, I went back to look at my recipe, and I said, for the first time I realized that people in the north eat the same, people in the south eat the same. I said, what's going on? Why are they eating rice? I didn't know Africans eat so much rice and raise rice. Because the west side of Africa, the east side of Africa, we don't eat rice. And I remember one time Ethiopian starvation time, in Ethiopia they send the rice. People couldn't cook the rice because they've never eaten it.
Wow.
So that was the example I was giving. And then I said, I don't know what is going on. So that makes me go to the second part of the book saying what is happening. So I went to the history of Africa, how colonization changed, how people were eating. So most of what the West and the South and everything is eating, there's something attached with the colony they've been under. Mm. But the food is the same like America. The spice, we have, if we go into the first century, East Africa, especially in Eritrean, there is a Aksumite Empire. That was the core civilization was started. Sudan, now is in a lot of trouble. There was Kingdom of Sudan. There was Kingdom of Mali. There was so much culture that people don't understand. They're asking me, what am I eating? We were the founder of the foundation of civilization. So let's go. So what I did is I put the recipe and the history together so people will understand to go to Africa for a vacation, not for safari. If I ask one person, what do you want to do to go to Africa? I want to see the safari. We are not only animals, we are humans. There is beautiful oceans. There is beautiful land. There is beautiful flowers. So for every nation, I got a picture, beautiful pictures from one corner to another. And then I just want people to understand that we are here together. We're in the same world. And it bothers me. When I was reading and researching, I found out our name is Africa, it's the darkened continent. I said, who gave us that name? And we are full of ocean. We are full of flower. We are full of gold. And then I went to invention. Africa invented many things, from CAT scan to open heart surgery to money, where you are ATMs. Everything what we gave has not been recognized. So for me, I went online and really looked into it and found so many invention African states. So that's another food I'm giving. It's not the food of the recipe only, the food what Africa gives. Africa is, without Africa, when me and you are talking right now, the cobalt and everything, nothing would have happened. Where is it coming from? From Western Africa, from West Africa, from Congo, the most beautiful country which is destroyed, is divided into two. When you read this book, you'll understand that Africa is important for the Western civilization as it is by itself.
Absolutely.
Africa gave a lot. Africa did not take anything from Western world. Western world took African gold, African mine, African everything. So for me, it's not only the food I was dealing with. What I was wanting people to understand is we are here. We are a contributor, not receiver only. We don't want handouts. We want equal opportunity. We want to be proud. I want every black in America, every black child in Africa, every black child in America and all over the world to be proud. Black is very smart, beautiful, a lot of culture, a lot of hospitality. You can come and visit us. So my writing this book is for positive thinking toward Africa. The most important is the positive is what I was doing. And I believe on it, and I really think that people, my friends who read it, they were really surprised. They didn't know many things about Africa. I go to the library, search about Africa. What I found was like nothing. I said, this was all colonized, this became colonized. So we lost all those things. So I want young Africans, young African Americans, young everybody, let's start thinking about positive thinking about Africa. If we starve, don't send us food. Let's us dig our own self and get it up by ourselves. We don't need handouts. We need love and respect.
Love that.
So what I'm saying is it's not only the cookbook, mostly. It's for better output to look at Africa. And I'm always say to people, when I'm talking to them, I said, if you see the map of Africa, on the west side, go and cut the Strait of Gibraltar, and then you can cut at the side by Egypt, by the peninsula. Then what happened? Africa dropped to the sea. What do you think the whole world will be? The whole Europe will drop with us. So the world is attached together. Without Africa, there is nobody can live. Everybody will be destroyed. The Western world got all the gold and everything from Africa. Africa gives a lot, but nobody knows. But if we don't talk, if we don't teach, how is the rest of the world will know? So our parents, what they're teaching us is self-esteem. So every African child has high self-esteem. But when African child goes and born in another out of Africa, their self-esteem is down. Because they are not being told they are equal as any other race. So if we take the color part off, if we take this dark continent out, we're all provided. The world doesn't live without Africa. Africa cannot live without the world. So we are in the world. We all have to live together. That is my mission of this book, to see Africa equally represented in the United Nations. We have 4 billion people in Africa. We don't have represented in the circle of our United Nations. All these things, I'm cooking food of the brain. I'm cooking food for the stomach. When I was writing this book, everybody was calling me from Germany to everywhere. They want me to be interviewed in the radio station. The reason I choose you was that at 22 years old, very naive, never left home, traveled to Hobbs, New Mexico. I came to Hobbs, New Mexico following my husband. When I arrived to Hobbs, New Mexico, I didn't know anything, but there was a guy in Ethiopia every Monday from age 6 up. I was listening to Dr. Talbot. He was a black American, came to Ethiopia and lives there, and he was teaching us about the black culture, what's going on, about the music and everything. So I have an idea what's going on. But when I arrived there, I have no aunts, no uncles. I was raised and born with family. I have never seen our house without any family, from extended family every time visitor. So I arrived there. The second day I got up, went to look for a job because I knew what I'm going to do. So I'm a nurse, went to the nursing home, and I got the job. The person who accepted me as the director was Mrs. Winona Reinhardt and Ika Reinhardt. These people accept me as their daughter. The whole town, Hobbs, New Mexico, gave me the love, the understanding. I was their child. I was there. Everybody was protecting me. My clothes was short. My nursing uniform was short. And she called me. She said, in America, we were a little bit longer because the La Siesta and home health was run by a religion. And they really were very long. And mine was short. And she gave me that thing. And then I said, oh, this is America? And I was like, but those people, and Ryan, that is the reason I came to America the first time. When I opened my eyes, we arrived, TWA arrived through Lubbock. We drove to New Mexico. When I opened my eyes that morning, we arrived, it was midnight. When I opened my eyes, what I saw is New Mexico. What I saw was a love, understanding. Everybody, I couldn't believe what I learned from these people. These New Mexico for the rest of my life. I'll never forget them. The nursing home, the workers. There was one gas station. It was Willie and Juanita Jackson, my mother and father. Mrs. Reinhardt, and with her husband, with her children, they were my parents. The preacher, the Southern Baptist preacher, came to and became our father. Because of that, I always, and when my children were like about 7, 8 years ago, I drove back to New Mexico to show my children. Because my daughter was born, the others not. So I showed them New Mexico. Because of that, I chose to be interviewed first by your Albuquerque. And in Albuquerque, another reason is one of my nurse, and she called her daughter, and she said, this girl is coming. She's young, to Albuquerque to take her license. You know, you have to have a nursing license.
Yeah.
So she told her daughter and her husband to pick me up. Me in the Albuquerque. I didn't go to the hotel. I don't even know where I'm going. I'm just going to get my license. She arranged all these things. Went there, get my license. The kindness I got out of New Mexico, I will never forget it. And thank you very much, Hobbs. This is your Gennet. At that time, I didn't use my husband's last name is Yohannes. It was Gennet Tedla, La Siesta, and everybody. Thank you very much. If you remember me, I'm still alive.
People, listen, there is no better way to close out. I'm going to say it again, man. Amazon, Barnes & Noble. The book is called The Hut, A Taste of African Food, Culture, and Originality. You have Gennet Tedla Yohannes to thank for all of it. Gennet, this has been truly illuminating, okay? Your work does so much more than celebrate cuisine. It confronts a single story of Africa with a beautiful and, pun intended, delicious truth. Okay, this book is vital for education. It serves up understanding one recipe at a time. So to everyone listening in right now, pick up this book, man. Share these dishes and their stories with your community and become part of a conversation that redefines an entire continent through its generosity and grace. Gennet, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for sharing that. And once again, thank you even more for being a guest with us through People of Distinction.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it.